Okay. So here in this function, what is the function? Y equals minus x squared plus 4x minus 1. In this function, the highest order of x is 2. 2 is the highest order, right? Or the degree. Okay, highest degree is 2. Okay. So therefore, this is the quadratic function. So you have to consider the coefficient of the highest order. Now here the x squared is there. The coefficient of x squared is minus. We know if the coefficient of x squared is a negative number, it has a maximum, right? We can write like this. Y equals, excuse me, someone their mic. All right. So here we can write the quadratic function in general form. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. That's the general form of writing the function, right? Here, if a is a negative number, if a is less than 0 means we know if you take the number line like this, okay, we take the number line. So here 0, and then here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, right? And then here minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. Okay. So less than 0, if you consider this 0, so less than 0 means negative numbers, right? So less than 0 are negative numbers and greater than 0 are positive numbers. So these are greater than 0, these are less than 0. So here a is less than 0. This is how you read, right? The inequality. Okay, so when a is less than 0, the function has a maximum. Okay, if a is greater than 0, that means a positive number. If here is a positive number, then you have a minimum. Okay, so hereafter you should not forget about this. Okay, because now you are very closer to the exam. Okay, if you haven't studied this, make this the opportunity to study these theorems. Okay, so in our paper class, we are not only doing the papers. Okay, we also revise the theory. Okay, because I assume there might be students without a proper knowledge, with a zero knowledge. Okay, so therefore I'll explain each and every part. Okay, thoroughly. So whatever the things that you find new and you haven't learned before, please take a note and note down. Okay, you take a notebook and note down. Okay, so here the first thing you should note today, okay, is you write the function y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so that's the function, right? Here, that's the general form of the function or the graph y quadratic function. Okay, here if a is greater than 0, or yeah, if a is greater than 0, the first case, if a is greater than 0, then the graph has a minimum, so the graph will be like this. Okay, so you can find there is a minimum point on the graph, and then if a is less than 0, has a maximum, that means the graph has a maximum point, like you climb a mountain. So when you climb a mountain, there is a maximum height, no, at the peak, right? So this is something like a trench. So when you're going through a trench, there will be a bottom point, deep point. Okay. So it has a minimum point. This is the minimum point, and then here the maximum. The graph will be maximum. So let's see some examples. So example. So I can write y equals, the only thing is a has to be greater than 0. So this number, the coefficient of x squared must be greater than 0. So I can write 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. That one example. The second example, y equals 0.2x squared, because this is also a plus number, no? So the only condition is a should be greater than 0. A must be greater than 0, right? So therefore now this is also a number greater than 0, positive number. Simply saying a positive number. So I can say this is a positive number. A is a positive number. A is positive number. Here A is negative number. A is negative number. මීට පස්සේ මේවා අමතක කරන්න බෑ පුතෝ, හරිද? Right. So here 5x minus 10. Another example, y equals 1000 x squared minus 3x plus 5 plus 12. Okay. So another example, you can write y equals, the only condition, the coefficient has to be a positive number. So I write half x squared plus 12x minus 13. Okay. So here these everything have a minimum. I'm very sure definitely they have a minimum because all of their coefficient are positive numbers. Okay, so here we write the example for minimum, graph with minimum, sorry, maximum. Okay, graph with maximum. Here we can write y equals minus x squared plus 3x plus 7. Another example, y equals minus 13x squared plus 2x plus 20. So here only the condition is the coefficient of x squared should be negative. Okay, do you all understood? So now you know which type of graph has maximum and has a maximum value and which graph has a minimum value. That you can just tell by looking at the coefficient of x squared. Okay, so the coefficient of x squared, if it's a positive number, then it has a minimum. If it's a negative number, it has a maximum. Okay, you all can take a screenshot. Okay, because I can't waste time in writing because we want to do a lot in this graph, in this class. Want to make our best benefit out of this class. Okay, so you can take a screenshot and write. Whenever I write thing, if you find, okay, this note is important to me, then you have to take a screenshot and continue writing. Okay, because if in case, if when I clear the screen and then if you couldn't finish the writing, then your screenshot might be there. Okay, so always take a screenshot and start writing. Okay, good. Okay, so now I hope you understood about maximum function, maximum graph and minimum graph. All right, so let's get back to our original question. Okay, find the value of y when x equals 2. Okay, so here they have given the function y equals minus x squared plus 4x minus 1. And in your paper, you will definitely, for the graph, you will definitely get a question like this. If you take last 10 years, out of 10, 8 years, they might have given such a question. Okay, so the only thing what you have to do is, you have to substitute x equals 2 in this equation. Sorry, I can't say this equation, in the function. Okay, so there's a difference between function and equation. How many of you know the difference between a function and equation? please drop a message in the chat box. If you know, yes, say yes. If you don't know, say no. Make it quick. Okay. I already got 2 no's, so therefore I had to explain that. Okay. Right. So I'll explain what is a function and what is a equation. Okay. First, I'll explain what is a function means. Function means it's like a computer. Function is like a computer function. So function. So in computer, if you are doing IT or anything, even in small grades, you may have studied the overall work of a computer is it takes an input and process and gives the output. It takes the input and process and gives the output. So function is also like that. If you put an input, it gives the output. Now, for example, let's say I take a small function. Normally, we take function as denoted by fx. Function of x. We read this as a function of x. Fx. So function of x. Or else we can also denote this by y, letter y. Function of x is also denoted by letter y because the y varies with x. So we normally write y equals fx. So here we write y equals x fx. That means y is a function of fx, function of x. Okay. So function means if you give an input, it gives output. Now, for example, I can take a function y equals x plus 2. So this is a function. Okay. You can give an input. Now, for example, you can put 1. X equals 1 is the input. Okay. So that is the input. Input is 1. Then the process is this. What is the process? It says you take a value at 2. You take this value at 2. Okay. So I input this value 1. So 1 plus 2. Now this is process. So here input and this is process. So process is here adding 2 and then it produce a output. It gives output as 3. So if you put 1, it gives 3. If you put 2, it gives 4. If you put 3, it gives 5, right? So that means you give a value, it give another output. So this is a function, right? So it's a function. Is that clear, everyone? Are you all clear about what is a function? The function doesn't have a specific value. You give an input and it makes some process and produce a output. Okay, it's like a computer. Okay. Right. So now there are different various of function are there. Now, for example, y equals x 2x plus 4. So here this function what does, if you give an input, it multiplies by 2 and then add 4. For example, you can give x equals 0. So then it produces 2 into 0 plus 4. The output is 4. So whatever the input you give, it gives the output. Okay. So that is a function. Okay. All right. Now let's see what is a equation means. Now, for example, this is also function. Now, these are quadratic function. Y equals x squared plus 5x plus 6. So this is a quadratic function. If you give again an input, it gives output. Now let's say input is x equals 1. Then the process is 1 squared plus and then 5 into 1 plus 6. So it will gives the output 12. So if you give input as 1, so it produces output 12. Okay. So therefore, this is known as quadratic function because the highest degree of the x is 2. If the highest degree is 2, we call it quadratic function. So this is earlier one I wrote y equals x plus 2. This is a linear function because highest power is 1. So this is a linear function, quadratic function, and cubic function x cubed plus 2x plus 7, because here highest degree of x is 3. This is known as cubic function, but in our syllabus we don't study of cubic functions. Okay, you have only up to quadratic functions. Okay, so this quadratic function, now I have this quadratic function x squared plus 5x plus 6. I take this function and let's say y is, I'm setting the value of y. Okay, so here let's say if y equals to 2. Okay, so now here I'm saying this y is equals to 2. Then x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals to 2. Now this is an equation because left hand side is equals to the right hand side. So this is an equation. We are saying two things are equal. Okay, here left hand side is equal to the right hand side. So therefore this is an equation. So now for the function, you can put any value. If you give a value input, it produces output. Input process output. Okay, like a computer. But in equation, you set a value. You take this function and set to a value so that this is equal to this. So now I'm saying this function is equals to value 2. So now this is the equation. In equation, you have to solve. You have to find the value of x which satisfies this equation. You have to find the value of x which satisfies this equation. Okay. So now we want to find what are the value of x that satisfies this equation. For that, what you have to do, we have to solve this equation, right? How to solve? You take x squared plus 5x plus 6, take this 2 to this side, and then it's minus 2, 0. So x squared is equal 5x plus 6 minus 2 equals 4 equals 0. So here you get a quadratic equation. Now you have to solve this quadratic equation to find the value of x which satisfies this condition, right? Okay, so that part is quadratic equation. That is also there in your O-level exam, right? You have equation lesson in grade 11. There you study the methods of solving a quadratic equation. So one method is factorizing, and second method is using completing the square, and third method is formula. The formula you may have studied that x equals minus b plus or minus b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. And the last method is graphical method, where we draw the graph and find which value of the function is equals to 0. Anyway, our today's focus is graph lesson. So therefore, I'm not going to discuss more about this quadratic function, but anyway, if you want like to discuss more on quadratic function, you can let me know in the group. You can text me personally, but I prefer text in the group, so others also get the idea. Okay, so there, like for example, there might be others also needful of that particular subject. Okay, so therefore I recommend if you need any lesson to be covered, please let me know in the group. All right, so now we'll move on to the graph. Okay, by the way, now did you all understand what is the difference between function and equation? Did you all understand the difference between function and equation? Okay, good. Okay, so now here we have a function. If you give an input, it gives output. If you put x equals minus 1, the output is minus 6. If you put x equals 0, output is minus 1. If you put x equals 1, output is 2. Likewise, you need to find the value of y when x equals to 2. So then what you have to do, you have to input x equals 2 in the function. Y equals minus x squared plus 4x minus 1. Right? So y equals minus, so you have to substitute for the x. So x equals 2. So you put 2 and square, because here instead of x, just you remove x from that point and then put 2 there. Okay. So therefore it 2 square will come. And then 4x means 4 times x. So 4 times x is equals to 2 now, because we are substituting x equals 2. Okay. x equals 2 minus 1. So therefore here we get minus 2 squared is 4 plus 4 into 2 8 minus 1. So we have minus 4 plus 8 minus 1 7. So therefore it will equal to 3. So therefore this value is 3. Right? Find the value of y when x equals to 2. So what you have to do is in exam paper, so here for the substitution also you get 1 marks, and for the final value also 1 mark. So you have to write this in the paper, because this is not the part 1 paper. In part 2 paper you have to write the steps also. For that also they will allocate marks. Okay. So if you are writing this question in the paper, means you have to write like this. Let me show you. Okay, so here you write. Now the question 2, Roman number 1. You have to properly write the question number also, right? Because if in case, let's say now in marking stream, who is marking this paper? Not robots, people like us, right? Elderly teachers, right? And you know, for they are marking a paper, each paper they give some, they get some amount, 300 or 400 something. I'm not sure about the amount, but for each paper they get an amount. So what they will try to do, they will try to mark as much as possible paper. So they mark very fast, right? They put the marks and all very fast so that they can cover more paper. So therefore they can earn more, right? Those whoever teacher earns marks more paper, they earn more, right? For that reason, they will mark the papers very quick. So if in case if you didn't put the question number, let's say you didn't put the question number, and one of the teacher while she marking fast, she forgot to correct that marks. So then she can say that a teacher can say there is no question number, so it's I didn't give a marks. That's totally valid. If she said like that, it's totally valid. Therefore, you have to write the question number properly. This is one of the mistakes that students do. They don't take that serious. You have to write the question numbers correctly. Okay, that's very important. Okay, so question number 2, Roman number 1. So here I write. Now you have to write y equals minus x squared plus 4x minus 1. And then when x equals 2, we write y equals minus 2 squared plus 4 into 2 minus 1. So y equals, then you can simplify and write 3. Here mainly for the substitution only 1 marks, and for the final answer 1 mark. Okay, right. And question number 2. Okay. By the way, I hope all of you can do substitution and simplify, right? If you have anything, it's not clear, you don't know how to do, means please let me know. So I will explain you thoroughly, clearly from 0. Okay. Using the scale of small divisions as 1 unit along the x-axis and along the y-axis, draw the graph of the above function on a graph paper. Okay, now 2015 paper no one did, right? Okay, so fine. I will do this. So you have to draw the graph. When you are drawing the graph, you have to take here it says 10 small divisions as 1 unit along the x-axis and along the y-axis. Draw the graph of the above function on a graph paper. Okay, first thing you have to now, okay, let me take a graph paper here. I'll show you how to mark these value axis and all. Because to marking the axis also you have marks. Okay, if you didn't put mark xy, they will deduct marks. I'll download one graph paper here. If it have 10 small divisions, not this kind of paper is not good. Wait. So I think this is good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so here you have to mark the axis. So before marking the drawing the axis, the first thing you have to consider is the range. So here the range of x is -1 to 5, and then range of y is -6 to the maximum value 3. -6 to 3, and this x is -1 to 5. Okay, so by considering that, you have to draw the graph. Okay, so here I take the graph somewhere here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here I take the x-axis. And then y-axis I had to take somewhere from here. Because the reason is here you can find x is -1 to +5. Okay. So here 0, -1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so here it's 2, -2. And then here +1, 2, 3. And axis you should mark. You have to mark this y, x also. If it's not there, you will lose some marks. Because for that also they will give marks be allocated. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. Okay, right. And then you have to consider this table, and then when x equals -1, y equals -6. When x equals -1, y equals -6. And when x equals 0, y equals -1. Go away, don't come. It's not working. You broke it. And when x equals 1, y equals 2. When x equals 1, y equals 2. And when x equals 2, y equals 3. And then when x equals 3, y equals 2. When x equals 4, y equals -1. When x equals 5, y equals -6. Okay. And then considering this data points, now you have to draw the graph. So this graph will be like this. I'm drawing with this tablet with bare hands, so it won't come perfect, but I'll try my best. So you'll get a graph like this. Okay. Okay, so if you want to draw the graph perfectly, the graph would come like this. Okay, so here y equals here the key things I want to tell you. When you are drawing this graph, the mistakes that students will do, you have to take this each same interval. Now this 10 squares, so the 10 squares will be there everywhere. had to be same. Okay. Now, one main fault that the students will do is like this. Wait, I'll tell you. So they will do something like this. Here, like 5 squares, they mark 1, and then 10 squares, then 2, 10 squares, 3. Like this one, mostly done mistakenly done by students. Okay. I tell you, like, if when you are studying, I mean, now you are late, but when you are in grade 10, 9, and 10, first term, second term, if your teacher is correcting mark, you have to help her. You need to help the teacher correcting the papers. Then you will learn what are the mistakes are there when you're correcting. So you will see, okay, this mistake, okay, that's wrong. So you will find out many mistakes, right? Okay, so the graph, you will get a minimum graph. I will draw here the first axis. Y equals minus x squared plus 4x minus 1 minus x squared minus x squared plus 4x minus 4x minus 1. Okay, so here's the graph. So this is the graph minus x squared plus 4x minus 1. So you can see here the coefficient of x squared is minus, so therefore it has a maximum, right? We studied today, if the coefficient of x squared is a negative number, so here we have minus 1. So that means minus 1, therefore it has a maximum value. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Write down the range of values of x for which y is greater than or equal to minus 2. Write down the range of values of x for which y is greater than or equals to minus 2. Okay. So you have to write the range of values of x for which y is greater than minus 2. Okay, so here the graph y. Okay, this is the function. Y equals x squared minus 4, so plus 4x minus x squared plus 4x minus 1. Okay, so in this function, you want to find the values of x which satisfies this condition. The condition is y is greater than or equal to minus 2. Okay, so y is greater than or equals to minus 2. Okay, so first to find out, you can draw a dotted line by minus 2. Here the minus 2, I consider this. Actually, you have to draw a dash line, dotted lines. So I will draw dotted lines here. In fact, here no need to write dotted lines because here you have also had to consider the equal. So when it's equal, you draw the solid line. Okay. So because the y is greater than or equals to minus 2. So you want to find the range of x which satisfies this condition, greater than or equals to minus 2. So the value of y, these values in this graph, only the values of y. These values should be greater than minus 2. Okay. So therefore, if you consider a point somewhere here, will it be greater than 2? Minus 2. Will it be greater than minus 2? No. So you had to consider the values of which the y is greater than minus 2. Okay. So only these values, I mean, so the graph has values are greater than 2, minus 2, greater than minus 2. Okay. So you want to write the corresponding range. Here the range we can find. Now here it becomes minus 2 when x equals approximately 0.2. Because here 1 is divided into 5 small squares. So in your graph paper means it will be 2 small squares will be there because each unit you have taken as 10 small squares. Therefore, it will be like 2 small boxes. But here it is 1 small box, therefore it's 0.4. Okay. So in your graph paper, it will be 2 small squares. Okay. I hope you are understood. If there's anything not clear, please let me know. Okay. So therefore, the value corresponding to this is 0.2. So you can consider that with drawing a straight line, vertical line. So here minus 2 corresponds to this value. Again here minus 2 correspond to 4.2. So here the value is 4.2. So therefore the range of x that satisfies this condition is x is less than 4.2. X is less than 4.2 because if you go greater than 4.2 somewhere here, the function has value smaller than minus 2, but we want greater than or equals to minus 2. So, and also here x is greater than 0.2. And also it can be equal. Y is equals to minus 2. Therefore, when y equals, what are the points that y equals minus 2, x equals 0.2. So therefore, you have to consider here equal scenario also. Okay, let me know honestly whether you understood this or not. Please let me know in the chat box. Please let me know in the chat box. Okay, good. And please, if anything, text to the TKI. Okay, good. How about Kosharini? Kosharini, did you understand? Okay, very good. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Okay. Answer the following question using the graph. Okay, so Roman number 3 done. Write down the coordinates of the maximum point of the graph and thereby write down the given function in the form of y equals k minus x minus h squared. Okay. Write down the coordinates of the maximum point of the graph. So coordinates of the maximum point will be, so we can see x coordinate is 2, y coordinate is 3. If you draw the graph correctly, you will get these coordinates 2, 3. 3. So you no need to mark in the graph. In your answer script, you can put the question number and answer. Okay. If they mention like mark in the graph, then you should mark. Otherwise, not necessary. Okay, so here the answer for this is x equals less than or equal 4.2 and greater than or equal minus 0.2. And for this, the coordinate is 2, 3. So once you know the coordinate 2, 3, x is 2, y is 3, then you can write this equation y, which is this x squared plus 4x minus 1. Okay, that same function I can write in this form. So how do we write that? We write y equal, here the maximum value. Maximum value is 3. So we get 3 minus x minus the value coordinate of x corresponding to the maximum value, that is 2. X minus 2 squared. So this is the answer. Okay. Now let's see, expand this and see. Let's expand this and see what we'll get. So here we have y equals 3 minus x minus 2 squared. So y equals 3 minus, if we expand this bracket quadratic equation, we know a minus b squared is equals to a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. Okay. Okay, so here h and k are just some algebraic symbols, algebraic terms, right? They are just algebraic terms. You want to find their value. So value is 3 and 2. Okay, so now we'll expand this and see x squared minus 2 into 2, 4x plus 4. So therefore y equals 3 minus x squared minus and minus 4x minus and plus minus 4. Y equals minus x squared plus 4x plus 3 and minus 4 minus 1. So you get the same one. Okay. So how do we write this? That just looking at the graph. We have to look at the graph and see what are the coordinates of the turning point. The coordinates of turning point is 2, 3. Right? Therefore, the maximum point is 2. Maximum point is y. The y value is 3 and then corresponding x value is 2. All right. Okay. Do you have any question about this? Do you have any question about this? Please, if you have anything, any question regarding this, please let me know. If you know about this means, let me fine. Okay, I didn't get any message, so can you do it again, please? Yeah, sure. Thank you. I'll explain this again. Okay. So here, I will thoroughly explain now. So now here we have this function y equals minus x squared plus 4x minus 1. We have y equals minus x squared plus 4x minus 1. Before that, I'll take another small example with function something like y equals x squared plus, hold on, squared plus 4x minus 12. Hold on. Yeah, okay. X squared plus 4x minus 12. So if you factorize this, what you get, y equals, the factorize this, so minus 12x squared, the factor is 6 into 2, bigger one is plus, so plus 6x minus 2x. So instead of 4x, I can put this. So x squared plus 6x minus 2x minus 12. Y equals x squared. So here x is common in the first two terms. In these two terms, x is common. I can take that. Okay, so x plus 6. In these two terms, minus 2 is common. If I take minus 2 out, I get x plus 6. So therefore y equals x. Now in these two terms, x plus 6 is common. Okay, if I take x plus 6 out from the bracket, then we have x minus 2. So these are the factors of this expression. Okay, so this factorizing, you may have studied in your grade 10, factorizing a quadratic function. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the square. I'm going to complete the square. So completing the square is like this. You take y, and here x squared, you write x, and here if it's plus, you put plus, and half of this. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then you square it. So here what I have, x plus 2 squared. I'll again do it again. So if there is x squared, to do completing the square, you have to always keep this coefficient of x squared should be 1. Now here nothing means it's actually 1 into x squared. So the coefficient of 1 is 1. So then the next thing you write x here, and if it's plus, you put plus. If it's minus, you have to put minus. Since it's plus here, you have to put plus. And then you have to divide this by 2, okay, and you square it. So x plus 2 squared. Right, in binomial expression, you write this x squared plus then 4x plus 4 will come. Okay, so here you can see, we have x squared plus 4x. See, x squared plus 4x nicely coming. So I subject this x squared plus 4x. For that, what I have to do, I take this to the other side. So therefore, x squared plus 4x is equals to x plus 2 squared. If you take the plus 4 to the other side, it becomes minus 4. And this minus 4 came how? How it came? It actually came from the square of this, no? So this minus 4 came as 2 squared, right? Because you know a plus b squared is equals to a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. A squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Okay, the square of binomial expression, these things and all you should know, right? Okay, so here this 4 actually came from square of this term, right? So you write as the square of that term. It's actually 2 squared, which is 4, right? Okay, so here you take this 2 squared to the other side, it becomes minus 2 squared. So what you have to do is, here you write the x. If it's plus, you have to put plus here. And half of this 4, half of that 2, and then you put the bracket and square it. And also if you put 2 here, you have to subtract that 2 squared. Here you can see subtraction 2 squared. You have to subtract always whatever the number you write here, you have to subtract its square. And then we have this minus 12 remaining. So we can put that here, minus 12. Okay. So this is the first step of completing a square. Okay, completing a square. So we write y equals x plus 2 squared minus, here 2 squared is 4 minus 12. So we can write y equals x plus 2 squared minus 16. Okay. So the same function I have written in a different form. Okay. The same function I have written in different form. The y equals x squared plus 4x minus 12. I have written in another form, x plus 2 squared minus 16. Okay. So here I have written y equals x plus 2 squared minus 16. So this actually I have written this in this form. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, but here I have written this in this form. Y equals x plus a squared plus b. So here b is minus 16, because the minus 16 actually you can think like this, is actually plus minus 16. Okay, so plus and minus minus. So here a is equals to 2, b is equals to minus 16. So when you write a graph in this form, right? If you write the graph in this form, you can write the coordinates of the maximum point or the minimum point. Now for this graph, it has a minimum point now. So that minimum point coordinates will be, so here I can write the coordinate of the minimum form of this particular graph, x squared plus 4x minus 12. So its coordinate minimum point coordinate will be, so this will be the graph now. So this point is the minimum point. So its coordinate is x will be minus 2, because if you put minus 2 only, this term will be 0. Okay, you have to put a value for x such that this has to be 0. Then if you put plus 2, 2 plus 2, 4, 4 squared 16. If you put 1, 1 plus 2, 3, 3 squared is 9. If you put any other number, you get a plus value. But except if you put minus 2 and plus 2, 0, 0 squared 0, right? It always, if you want to get the minimum value, you have to make this 0. To make that 0, you want to find out which value you had to put for the x. So I had to put minus 2. So when you put minus 2, the function will be minimum, and then that minimum value is minus 16. So therefore this coordinate is minus 2 and minus 16. Okay, is that clear, everyone? Okay, good. I'll explain more thoroughly in analytical way. Okay, so here we got the function y equals what? Y equals x plus 2 squared plus minus 16. You, without plus, you can just write minus 16 also. That's also correct. Okay, right. So now the same equation, here I have this one, here I have this. Both are the same thing. Now your name is might be something like maybe your name is let's see someone's name. Okay, Mushfika. But in your school, your friends are calling as Mush. For example, I don't know how they call you, but as I'm saying, okay. So the same thing, but there's different in sound, no? So in your name is Mushfika, but they are calling you Mush, but both are actually referring the same thing. Likewise, here this expression written in this form, and here it's written in another form, but both are the same thing. Okay, okay. Only the shape is different. Okay, okay. So, but when we compare these two equations, these two functions, I mean the same function but written in the two forms. In this form, the independent variable is two places. Here also there, here also there. Therefore, you can't see how this y is vary, because both x is varying in two places. Then you can't see how y is changing. But here in this equation, x is confined to one place. X is in one place, so you can see how its value will change. How it will change, because if it's only in one place, if it's increasing or decreasing, you can see nicely. But two things are increasing, decreasing, you can't analyze, right? So here, that's the nice thing about this form. The x is confined to one place. Okay, so this is a constant, it won't change. If you put any value of x, this constant is won't change. This is a constant. Okay, it's not a variable, it is constant number. It won't change, right? But only the y is depends on this part. Only this is the variable. Therefore, y depends on only on this part. Okay, right. So the y depends only on this part because this is a constant. So just a number. Even if you put x1 or 2 or 3 or 5, this one won't change. It's always minus 16. So it's a constant. It won't change. Okay. So now we know since this graph has a positive 1 as the x squared coordinate coefficient. The coefficient of x squared is 1. Therefore, it has a minimum, right? So I know this y has minimum. So this y will be minimum. Y will be minimum. Y mean it has y mean. Y will be minimum when this part of the function is minimum. X plus 2 squared is minimum and minus 16. When this is minimum only, y will be minimum. Because the y does not depend on this one, no, it depends on x. X is only here. So therefore, y will be minimum only in here. Okay. Right. Now, the next point that I should tell you, the square of a number. The square of a number. Okay. So these everything are very important. I'm taking much time for the first question because this is, if you understand everything clearly, then it will be easy for you to understand every question. All the graph questions are same type, more like same. If only thing if you practice last 10 years graph questions, well enough. Okay, right. Now, for example, let's say a number. For example, 2. 2 squared is 4. Why? Because 2 into 2 is 4. So a positive number, if you square it, it's definitely a positive number. You can take 5. 5 squared is 5 into 5, 25. If you take 7 squared, 7 into 7, 49. Square number of a positive number is always positive, right? That is very clear. That's very, no one, even grade 8, 9 student can understand, right? Because you are multiplying two positive numbers, you get positive. Now let's see what is minus 2 squared. Minus 2 squared is minus 2 into minus 2 into minus 2. Minus 2 into minus 2 lamai. Then we get minus into minus plus 2 into 2, 4. Another minus number, minus 3 squared, let's say. Minus 3 into minus 3, minus into minus plus 3 into 3, 9. එතකොට මෙතනත් බලන්න, the square of negative number also plus. Therefore, what I can say, if you have a number a, let's say a is an algebraic term, it represents any number from the real numbers. Real number කියන number line එකේ තියෙන ඕනෑම number එකක් the letter a will represent, right? So if you square it, this number is always greater than 0. Do you understand? Because the positive number square also positive, negative number square also positive. Therefore, square of any number is always positive. Do you all clear? Do you understand? Koshalini, Safa? The positive number of any number is, the square of any number is positive. Is it clear? Good. Very good. So a square of any number is always positive, and square of a number is only equal to 0 if and only if a equals to 0, because 0 squared is 0. Therefore, in general, we can write a squared is always greater than or equal to 0. Okay. So, because if you put 0 only, it will be 0, right? So there are two cases. If a is not equal to 0, if a is not equal to 0, a squared is greater than 0. If a equal to 0, a squared is equal to 0. So we can combine and write for everything, a squared is always greater than or equal to 0. Okay. This is very important you to understand. Okay. Right. So now, for example, if I write like this, 3 minus 2 squared. Again, this is a 3 minus 2, you get a number. Squared means this greater than, no, equal to 0, but in fact, it's greater than 0. And also you can write minus 5 plus 2. So here you get, if you simplify this, you get minus 3 squared, 9. Again, it's greater than 0. So any number squared is always greater than or equal to 0, right? So now I can write in algebraically also. Now, for example, if I take x is element from real numbers. So x squared is also greater than or equal to 0. It is only equal to 0 if x is equal to 0. Okay, therefore x squared is greater than or equal to 0. If I write like this, x plus 1 squared, this is also always greater than or equal to 0. Okay, right. Okay, so far everything clear? Any questions or doubts? Okay, good. And the next thing you have to understand is this. Now, for example, if I say a is greater than or equal to 5, let's say there is a number, like for example, I have some chocolates in my pocket, and I'm saying, someone coming and ask, a small kid coming and asking, how many chocolates are there with you? So I'm saying I have some number of chocolates. So you can take it as a unknown term. And I'm saying it is greater than or equal to 5. I'm saying it is greater than or equal to 5. Okay. Then I'm asking you a question. What is the minimum number of chocolates that I could have? I'm saying I have some number of chocolates that is greater than or equal to 5. Pahaho ඊටට වැඩි. Okay. I have some number of chocolates and I'm saying that number of chocolate is greater than or equal to 5. Pahaho ඊටට වැඩි 5 or above that, the number. Okay. Then if I ask you a question, what is the minimum number of chocolates that I might have? Please, what is the answer? What is the minimum number of chocolates that I might have? Okay, I got the correct answer from Safa. Koshani? Koshani, are you Buddhist or Tamil? Hindu, okay. So Tamil உங்களுக்கு புரியும் தானே? Okay, right. So I'm saying I have some number of chocolates in my pocket, and also I'm saying I have some number of chocolates, and I'm saying that number is greater than or equal to 5. 5 இல்லாட்டி அதுக்கு மேல தான் இருக்கணும். Okay. So then I'm asking, what is the minimum number of chocolates I might have? Then it could be 5, no? Because now Solran Enenda, I have some number of chocolates, that number is 5 or above that. Okay. So therefore the minimum number of chocolates I can have is 5. So like that only here also. There is some number, algebraic term A, that is greater than or equal to 5. Then if I'm asking you, what is minimum A minimum? What is A min? Minimum A minimum is equals to what? Quickly. 5. Good. Okay, I'll give another example. Let's say n. N is greater than or equal to 100. Okay, so then what is n min? 100. Okay, easy peasy. Okay, now I ask you another question. Then Allah think pani sollanum both of you. Okay, I'm saying x is less than or equal to 20. Now think carefully and say, this x have a maximum value or minimum value? X க்கு maximum value வந்து இருக்குதா இல்லாட்டி minimum value வந்து இருக்கா? හොඳට හිතලා කියන්න. If it has a maximum value, you can say max. If it has a minimum value, you can type min. Say max or min. Tell me, does this x has a maximum value or minimum value? Okay, I got the answer from Safa. And how about Koshani? What is your answer? It has a maximum value or minimum value? It's okay to be wrong. Please don't take much time. சொல்ற ஆன்சர் பிழை ஆயிக்குமே என்று நினைச்சு reply பண்ணாம இருக்கணும். If it's got wrong also, you should write, text me. Then only I will understand that you still have not, you need more clarification in this part end. Okay. Koshani, I'm expecting an answer from you. At least if you don't know, you can say don't know. I would really appreciate it. You slept? You there? Okay. So I got the same answer from both of you. Both of you said min. No, it's wrong. What I'm saying, x is less than or equal to 20. X and the number is x is less than or equal to 20. So 20 is the highest value. So x can take any value than 20. So it can take minus, it can take 5, it can take 10, it can take 1, it can take 0, it can take minus 1, it can take minus 20, it can take minus 50, it can take minus 100, it can also take minus 200,578.5. So there is no limit in downwards. So minimum on minimum is goes to, there is no minimum, it will go down to infinity, minus infinity. But it has a set upper bound, maximum. There is a maximum value. You can't go beyond 20 because it says x is less than or equal to 20. So therefore maximum value is 20. Did you understand? So here x has a maximum value. Is it clear? Is it clear? Did you understand? Okay, how about Koshani, did you understand? So here we are saying no x is less than or equal to 20. Therefore, 20 is the maximum. You can't go beyond 20, but there is no minimum. There you can go all the way down minus infinity, 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 infinity of infinity. There is no limit in the downward. So a minimum only then there is no minimum. But there is a maximum. That maximum is 20. Okay. I'll give you some exam questions. You have to say it has a maximum or minimum. Okay. And also say, now for example, this one I write x is greater than or equal to 10. So here minimum, and that value is 5, min 5. So, sorry, 10. Minimum value is 10. Right? Because x can take x is greater than or equal to 10. So, 10 is the minimum value. You can't go less than 10. And there is no upper bound. You can go all the way up to plus infinity. But in the, when it comes here, 10 is the minimum value. So, you can write minimum is 10. Min equals 10. Okay. So, likewise, now I'll give you a couple of questions. You have to say, let's say y is less than or equal to minus 5. Okay, say it has a maximum or minimum. Okay, I got the answer from Safa and it seems to be correct. Very good. Kaushalini? Okay, good. Maximum. It has a maximum. So it says y is less than or equal to minus 5. Minus 5 is the bound. So you can go minus 4, sorry, minus 6, minus 7, minus 8, minus 9, minus 8. You can go all the way down, but you can't go up. So the maximum is minus 5. Okay. Okay, last one more example. T is greater than or equals to minus 0.02. Okay, tell me whether this has a maximum or minimum. Okay, Koshani, correct. Safa? Okay, so here it says T is greater than or equal to minus 0.02. Therefore, it has a minimum value. Okay, all right. So now we'll come to our lesson. I hope you understood about that. Now here we have this function y equals x plus 2 squared plus minus 16. So and then we want to get the minimum. Here minimum, y will be minimum when this term is minimum. But here this term is, you can see it's a square. It's a square of number. So x plus 2 squared is always greater than or equal to 0. Right? Because it's a square number. Square number cannot be negative. It is always greater than or equal to 0. We studied that today, right? Here, this one. The square number is always greater than or equal to 0. Okay, therefore I can write x plus 2 squared is greater than or equal to 0, right? But here we want the minimum of that value. So we can see what is the minimum of this. Now if you write x is greater than or equal to 5, that minimum value is 5. T is less than or equal to 2, then minimum value is 2. M is greater than or equals to 0, the minimum value is 0. y is greater than or equal to minus 100, then minimum value is minus 100. Likewise, now this one's minimum value is 0. Okay, so therefore the minimum of this will be 0 always. So therefore y min is equals to 0 minus 16. So minimum value of this graph is minus 16. So if you check that graph, you will see minus 16 will be the minimum. Is that clear? Okay. එතකොට ළමයි මේ function එක මෙහෙම තිබ්බොත් අපිට කියන්න බෑ මොකුත්. But when we write like this, then I can make this y minimum, right? So for that, this has to be 0. Then if it becomes 0, the minimum value will be minus 16. Now the x value corresponding to that, now x plus 2 squared should be equal to 0, no? Now I told you a squared is equal to 0 if and only if a equals to 0. Because apart from any other number, if you square it, you won't get 0. A කියන එක න බිංදුව වුණොත් විතරයි බිංදුවේ square බිංදුවරක් බිංදුව right? So therefore here x plus 2 is equal to 0. Okay, so if you take x plus 2 to the other side, x equals minus 2. That is obvious, no? If you put minus 2 here, minus 2 and plus 2, 0, 0 squared 0. If you put minus 2 here, so you get 0, right? So therefore, the coordinates of the minimum point y min in the graph, the coordinate of the minimum point will be x value is minus 2. Like minus 2 දැම්මොත් නේ you get minus 16. When you x equals minus 2 only, this term will be 0. So you get the minimum value minus 16. Okay, and then corresponding the minimum value is minus 16. Okay, right. So therefore, normally, you can take a screenshot if you want, because this is just a rough thing to explain you to understand. Okay. Now here again, I will say y equals x squared plus 4x minus 12 කියන එකම ආව. So this is actually in this form, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a equals 1, b equals 4, c equals minus 12. So this is written in this form. If you convert it to this form, y equals x minus a squared plus b, then the coordinates of the turning points will be, or turning point means either maxima or minima. Now here coordinate is 1, no? So it has a minima. So coordinates of the minimum point. So minimum point coordinates. So it's turning point. We call it as turning point or minima or maxima. So since it's a minimum, has a minimum, now it's a minima. So this minima has a coordinates of this. Now I had to write this in this form. If I write this in this form, I got x plus 2 square minus 16. No? So I write this in that form. X plus 2 I write as minus 2, because I want to write as x minus a. So I write like this, minus into minus plus, and then this thing squared plus, because here plus b, and b is minus 16. So a is equals to minus 2, b is equals to minus 16. So the coordinate of turning points are a comma b. So to make example a comma b tamai, those values are a and b, are the coordinates of turning point are minus 2 comma minus 16. Okay. Okay, and also this will be the axis of symmetry, x equals minus 2, because the graph is quadratic function is minimum symmetric about this minimum value. So therefore axis of symmetry also x equals minus 2. If in case in this question they ask you to write the axis of symmetry, you can write x equals minus 2. Okay. Do you have any questions up to this? I mean, what I have discussed so far. මේ දක්වා කියපු දේවලින් මොනවා හරි තේරෙන්නේ නැති දෙයක් තියෙනවා නම් දැම්ම let me know. All right. So we'll come to the original question now here. This graph y equals minus x squared plus 4x minus 1. Okay. Now this is written in this form: y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a equals minus 1, b equals plus 4, and c equals minus 1. Now this equation I want to write in this form: y equals now I want to write in this form, like so here, sorry, I want to write in a. Okay, so since this is a negative graph function, here actually you can write like this: minus will come x minus a squared plus b. So this one will be like that. So if you take this b and swap these two terms, then you write y equals b minus x minus a squared. Okay. So here the coordinates of the minimum point will be a comma b. එතකොට මේක තමයි යාලා දීලා තියෙන්නේ මෙතන මොකක් විදියටද? You have to write as k and h. So they have given as, instead of a and b, they have given as k and h. So the same equation here you have y equals k minus x minus h squared. So you have to write in this. Now instead of a and b, they have given h and k. So therefore the coordinate of the minimum point will be h comma k. So that one we want to get it from here. So you had to get this form. For that you had to do the complete square. Okay, so y equals minus x squared plus 4x minus 1. මේ step එක හොඳට බලා ගන්න. Please watch carefully. Okay, so we take y equals, now as I told you, to complete the square the coefficient of x should be 1. So here it is not plus 1, it's minus 1. So therefore you have to take minus 1 out from the bracket. So if you take minus 1 out, so here it will be x squared plus, here minus 4 will come, minus 4x, and then you leave it this minus 1. It's a constant term, no need to do. From these two terms you have to take minus 1 out. Okay, right. And then if I take that minus 1 out, so I get here x squared minus 4x. Then if you multiply this, minus 1 into x squared minus x squared minus 1 into minus 4x minus into minus plus 1 into 4x 4x. Okay, right. So then now I can simplify this y equals, and then what I do is I'm going to complete the square. Method x tippana, you have to write x. If it's minus, minus half of this coefficient. 4 divided by 2 is 2 squared, and whatever the number you put here, you have to subtract its square. That's the completing the square method. Okay, and then we have this minus 1. So I put this minus 1 here. Okay, so then y equals, now I multiply with this minus, so minus into here x minus 2 squared minus into minus plus 2 squared is 4, and then we have this minus 1 separately. Okay, so therefore y equals minus x minus 2 squared plus 4 and minus 3, 4 minus, sorry, plus 4 and minus 1, 4 minus 1 is 3. So then we have y equals 3 minus x minus 2 squared. Okay, so they come to this question, what they are saying. Write down the coordinates of the maximum point of the graph and thereby write down the given function in terms of, okay. So since here the coefficients of x is minus, it has a maximum. So that maximum coordinate of the maximum point. Okay, coordinates of the maximum point is equals to. So here we can see if we put x equals 2, this is equal will be 0. So therefore 2 comma, and when it becomes 0, y is equal to 3. Therefore the maximum value is 3. So 2 comma 3. Did you understand? Did you understand, Safa and Kosharini? Okay. Now, since this is I'm explaining you for the first time only, I was explaining these much, right? But actually, these questions and all, if you practice, very easy. Okay, it's really very easy. These questions. Okay. Okay, and then the last question, I think that one. Okay. Given that 2 minus root 3 is the root of the equation, x squared minus 4x plus 1, find the approximate value for root 3. Okay. So here, what is this actually? So you have this function y equals minus x squared plus 4x minus 1. Okay. You take this function and then you can see the signs all change. Here it's minus, here it's plus, here plus, minus. Okay, the signs all change. That means you multiply by minus. Okay, when you multiply by minus, what happens? I'll explain you nicely. Okay. Here, now this one I want to multiply by minus. Okay, I'll do what I do is I put a bracket here. Okay, then here put minus. You can see the same graph. So minus is different and now you can see these 2 points. I'll just meaning okay. Plus, okay, center. Okay, so here when I put minus here, what happens? You see nicely. So it is actually what happens. If I put minus, what happens is these 2 points fixed. You can see these 2 points fixed. These 2 points fixed. The graph you fix from that and you change. Like for example, you may have you have this using this error 2 and all, you make that thing. No, so if you just keeping that fixed, you change that. So likewise, so if let's say this is a wire, okay, and you have something stick like this, it is only attached here. So you from that you what you call your flip. Okay, you flip up and down. Only that thing happens. Did you understand? Kosharin, did you understand? When you multiply any function by minus sign means only the function will be mirror image up and down. It swaps about the x-axis. So therefore, this whatever the points that intersecting the x-y coordinates won't change. Are you all clear? Okay, good. Right. So now, therefore, now if I multiply by this, now this function y equals minus x squared plus 4x minus 1. This function, let's say we want the values of the function is equal to 0 now. So this is the function y is 0 our values. So here y0 1 2 3 4 y0 the என்னென்ன values x equals something like yeah 1 means something like 0.7 and here 3.7 something like that. Okay, if you want you can check that values exactly. I'll zoom it. Okay, so here something like 0.25 and here this value is 3.75 something like that. Okay, okay, so you want say what are the values of why this function is going to be 0. Okay, so if I set y equals 0, then this function minus x squared plus 4x minus 1 equal to 0 will be the roots, these roots. Okay, these values. Okay, and so you can find those values from the graph. Okay, let's say let's not too much. Okay, okay, so here then the values that is 0 y equals 0 are, so here this is 1 means each 2 point, this is 2 point something 2.4 comma y is 0, this coordinate is 3.5 here 3.6 3.7 3.7 comma 0 2.4 comma 0 and this is 3.7 comma 0. Now you can get these values from your graph. You have drawn a graph, no? From by looking at the graph, you have each one divided into 10 small divisions, no? So by looking at that, you can find what is the value for the first decimal place, because you have only divided into 10. So therefore, you can write only in the first decimal place. Okay, so that will be the coordinates of this function. Now, if you multiply this by minus, you get x squared minus 4x plus 1 equals to 0, and their coordinates also won't change, because I told you when you're multiplying by minus, it won't change, right? So I have here, you can see the points are not changing if you put minus. Okay, so that 0 y equals 0 corresponding value won't change. So therefore you can see the graph in your whatever the graph you have drawn a graph, no, in that question. So then by looking at your graph, you can write these coordinates. So they have given actually for the value is 0.268 comma 0, and here the value is 3.732 comma 0. Okay, okay, likewise you have to see, you can write only up to the first decimal place, because you have divide each one into 10 small divisions. So you can write the value in, then if you write, you get 2.7 and 3.7. so here actually you get 2.7, yes, here 2.6268, right? Sorry, 0.2 actually, yeah, here I'm wrong actually, here, because 1 divided into 5, no, so 0.2 0.27, this will be, yeah, then this will be 0.27. So we have only up to the first decimal place, then you will get in your graph something like 0.3 comma 0. Okay, right? So then also they are saying, given that 2 minus root 3 is the root of the equation, find an approximate value for root 3. Okay, 2 minus root 3 is a root. Okay, 2 minus root 3 is a root for that equation. So now 2 minus root 3 is either this one or this one. Okay, so I say this is A and B. Now tell me which is 2 minus root 3, A or B? Okay, I need an answer from you. Which is 2 minus root 3? 2 minus root 3. Point A or B? Let me know in the chat box, please. Don't take much time. Try to understand and let me know the answer. Because one of the root is 2 minus root 3. Okay. How about Kosharini? Okay, good. So here, can you take this value as 2 minus root 3? 2 is here. If you subtract a number from that, you will get somewhere here, no? How could you can get B? So you 2 is here and you're subtracting a number. Root 3 is, 2 minus root 3 is 1.732, right? So you will get somewhere around 2 minus 1 is 1, 1 minus 7 is 0.3, somewhere 0.268, something like that only you'll get. Okay, so therefore A is the point. Okay, A is the point. Okay, so you want 2 minus root 3 is one of the root and you want to get a value for root 3. So 2 minus root 3 you can say it's equals to 0.3. So therefore you can take the root 3 to this side and 0.3 to the other side. So 2 minus 0.3 equals root 3. So therefore 2 minus 0.3 is 1.7 equals root 3. In fact, root 3 is 1.732. So we get very close number. Understood? Here you are subtracting 2 minus a number, small number, so you will get this value, not this value. This is something like, for example, if you have given like 3 plus root 2, something like that, then it will be this. Now here 2 minus, no, from here you have to subtract, means you will get this value only. Is that clear, Safa? Okay, good. So therefore the answer is root 3 is 1.7. Okay. Now I have explained you this entire question. Okay. Now let's say now you have the knowledge for this question. Okay. So then this will be a very easy question actually. So here what you have to do, find the value of x when x equals 2. So in this equation, y equals, now I am actually summarizing what we discussed. Okay. Minus x squared plus 4x minus 1. එතකොට x equals 2 නම් y equals minus 2 squared plus 4 into 2 minus 1. So you get minus 4 plus 8 minus 1. So plus 3 you will get. Okay. So find the value of x when x equals to is 3. Using the scale, you can draw the graph. I mean, you have to consider this point and drawing the graph. Drawing the graph also easy. Only thing you have to practice drawing this parabolic shape. If you practice like 7-8 graph drawing the same curves, either minimal curve or maximal curve, if you practice, you can draw nicely. Okay, that is also not a big thing. Write down the range of values of x which y is greater than or equal minus 2. So you consider the graph. In that graph, you have to find in which range the function is greater than or equals minus 2. Okay, so it is x is less than or equal 4.2 and greater than or equals minus 0.2. Graph එක බැලුවා ලිව්වා එච්චරයි. And then given the function in the form of k and h constant, write down the coordinates of the maximum point. Okay, so you want to write the maximum point, so you have to what you have to do, you have to take this graph function y equals minus x squared plus 4x minus 1. You have to complete the square. Y equals, so you take minus out, x squared minus 4x, and then minus 1 separately there. And then you take completing the square, x minus half of this 2, and then you square it, and this number you have to square and subtract, minus 2 squared. And then this minus 1 is separately out. Okay, then now I can multiply by this minus, so minus x minus 2 squared, minus and minus plus 4 minus 1. 4 minus 1, 3, therefore I can write 3 minus x minus 2 squared. So I have written in this form where k and h are constant. Therefore k equals 3, h equals 2. So therefore coordinates of the maximum point, x value is 2, and then when you put x equals 2, this will be 0, then you get the maximum point. Okay, and then the maximum point is 3, so that's the coordinate. Okay, and then that one is then given that. Okay, so then you can see from your graph 2 minus root 3, which is equals to the corresponding value 0 0.3, no? So then root 3 is actually 2 minus 0.3. Root 3 equals 1.7. So if you practice graph questions well, these questions you can do within 10 minutes. Okay, only the time will take to draw the graph. Like you can take 4-5 minutes to draw the graph. Just quickly writing the axis, marking these values, and then plotting the graph. It will take around 5 minutes drawing the graph. Okay, and you should know that you should not spend more than 15 minutes for one main question. Okay, right. So today actually I wanted to discuss more fundamental things in graph, so I did. So in the next class I won't be explaining this much. Okay, in our next week class also we will be doing, I will do 2016, 17, 18, 19, minimum 4 papers I will cover in the next class. Okay, so study this and refer this, practice, and try to complete the graph questions from past papers till the last year. Okay, and a question I think she already done. Good job. And yeah, so with that we can start our class, and we can do our next class. Okay, all right. By the way, any questions regarding what you have studied today? Any doubts or anything to clear? Okay, on the content regarding the class, I mean, do you have any suggestions or anything regarding the class? Any opinions? Okay, then, so if everything okay, so I will sign off. Study well, take care. If you have any questions from your studies, you can share it to me through WhatsApp. Can we start 7:30 or around 8? Okay, then we'll start at 8. I will inform in the group. Okay. I also wanted to start around 8. Yeah. All right then. Good night. Study well. Take care. And I hope you guys are aware of the monthly fee of this class. If you want to know, you can text me regarding that. All right then. Good night. See you. Bye. Adios.